Hello everybody and welcome back to 1874. I'm your host Dan Bardell, and later on in this show I will be joined by my good friend Omar as we try and mix some historical Villa with some present Villa to make some content. Before we get into the video, just wanted to say thank you very much for everyone that's supporting the channel at the moment, everyone that's watching, everyone that's listening. The numbers are really, really strong across all platforms and I really, really appreciate it. People come up to me at Villa Park all the time saying nice things. So I just wanted to make a point of coming on before the show started to say thank you to everyone. And of course, it wouldn't be 1874 without me trying to plug a few things as well. So plenty of content coming through the week. We've got that podcast with Scouted Jake Entwistle about Morgan Rogers that I've spoke about previously. That will be coming on the channel this week. We've got a Q&A as well. I've had some great questions on Twitter, so we'll be doing that through the week as well. So watch out for that. And then thankfully, international break over and we get back to the normal routine of Villa content and Villa games that we all know and love. Just wanted to say, like, numbers, as I say, are great at the moment. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you could subscribe with your post notifications on, that would be absolutely fantastic. Audio, you know what to do. Spotify and Apple, 5 stars, reviews, comments, all those things really, really help. And again, I'd really, really appreciate any help with that. Just the final kind of 2 plugs from me. I had the Founders hoodie on in the video or in the podcast that you're about to see. So that's part of the new range that we've just brought out, the Fortress range. If you do fancy getting yourself some Founders design gear, go and check out the website. The new stuff's really, really nice. A homage to Villa Park, if you will. So check out that on foundersdesign.co.uk. And the final thing from me is buymeacoffee.com/Dan Bardell. People have already been so generous. People always ask, how can we help the channel? And I've had some really generous donations on there that have really helped us as a channel in terms of equipment and upgrading things. That's been really, really great. So we've had a bit of a letdown with sponsors over the last month or so, which has hit us a little bit hard. So if people did want to support the channel this month, it would be greatly appreciated, especially with a baby on the way as well. You can do that by heading to buymeacoffee.com/Dan Bardell. That's enough from me now on my own. Without further ado, here's today's content. I'll explain it fully on the pod that you're about to watch, but basically Omar and I are picking an Unai Emery 11 with former Aston Villa Premier League era players. I hope you enjoy this international break. Thanks once again for all the support, and as always, up the Villa. Today, Omar, the task that we have been set with, someone came up with a great idea in the YouTube comments that we should try and pick an 11, basically, an Emery 11 of mixed combined players from now and players from the past, from the Premier League era that we have watched play. But I didn't want to do that because I thought it'd be quite hard to take people out that play now because they're quite suited to Emery ball. So I thought we might only end up with like 1 or 2 historical players in the team. And then I thought that would be unfair on people that get left out because it would be like we're saying, they're not good enough, they're not good enough, they're not good enough. I didn't want to do that. So what I thought we'd do instead is go through the eras. This will be kind of a modern day show with a little bit of history as well. Omar and I getting to talk about some old players. We've both picked an 11 that we think would suit Unai Emery ball from the Premier League era. Now I'll get it up on the screen now because Omar and I had 6 players that were the same. Now these aren't the players that I think are the best players that have ever played for Villa. They're not my favourite ever players that have played for Villa, and I'm sure it's the same for Omar. What we tried to do is to go through and pick the players from Villa's Premier League era that we think would suit Emery ball the best. So the players that we agreed on, that we picked the same, and we went away and did our homework in our own time, not together, so we didn't know who each other were going to pick. We've both got Steve Staunton at left centre-back. So you could say Steve Staunton would be the Pau Torres of his time. We've both got Alan Wright at left-back. Both got the same midfield pairing of James Milner and Gareth Barry. Omar has picked Jack Grealish as a left 10. I picked him as the central 10. And we both picked Dwight York as the centre forward. So in the Premier League era, they're the 6 that we agree on would be best suited to playing football under Unai Emery for Aston Villa. Now, we'll go through the rest of the spaces now and we'll talk about the other players as we go through as well. Goalkeeper, Omar, was a difficult position, wasn't it? Because the goalkeepers need to be so good with their feet. I'm sure Emi Martinez isn't the perfect goalkeeper for Emi Martinez. I love him and think he's the perfect goalkeeper for Aston Villa, but actually the way we play probably isn't Emi Martinez's natural game, but he does it very, very well. But it was hard to go through an historical goalkeeper, wasn't it?
It really was, yeah. I mean, Bosnich is probably, apart from Martinez, probably the best keeper I've seen.
Same.
Villa have, but he was notoriously awful with his feet. So he was out of the question. And then, really trying to think of keepers. And I said Carson, obviously was good with his feet, but was a terrible goalkeeper.
You agreed.
Yeah, and then it was between, you got David James and I'd Friedel. It was between those two for me. I wasn't sure which one. I just went for what I think was the better. Well, I did really like David James. I thought he was an excellent keeper. I just went who I thought was the better keeper overall, and was okay-ish with his feet. Not great. Probably wouldn't be suited to modern style football, but thought it might be good enough. So I went for Brad Friedel.
Yeah, Friedel obviously an excellent goalkeeper, one of the Premier League greats. Villa had him for 3-4 years in the end. I think it was 3. I think it was 3 seasons. Villa had Brad Friedel for. Villa had David James for 2. The reason I picked him was because I think he was a little bit ahead of his time in terms of he looked after himself. He was always in good condition. He could launch a ball if he needed to. He was quite proactive with coming off his line as well, sometimes to his detriment when he was at Liverpool. But for Villa, he was a really, really good goalkeeper. And I remember him being fairly good with his feet and coming out and clearing the ball and stuff. So out of all the goalkeepers that we'd had in the Premier League era, and obviously a lot of these goalkeepers haven't had to deal with the same style of football that Emi Martinez would have to deal with, I just thought he was probably the best equipped.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think David James is probably better. He's definitely better with his feet.
I think
David James. Yeah, no, I think it's a hard one to argue. I think David James was definitely better with his feet, and for Villa, I think he had his issues with Liverpool definitely, and I think he went to West Ham afterwards, didn't he? But I think for Villa he was excellent. Apart from the FA Cup final.
Yeah, we try not to talk about this on the channel.
But I think apart from that, I still don't think we should have sold him. I don't know why we did.
John Gregory just really wanted to work with Peter Schmeichel, didn't he?
Yeah, it is what it is. But I think David James over Friedel, although Friedel was an excellent keeper. I think overall, in terms of how we play football, you need someone who's going to be that sort of linchpin at the back who can take control of the ball.
Like I said, I think we're not saying David James is the best goalkeeper to have ever played for Aston Villa. We just think he was probably the one who's best equipped to play the modern style of football. That's what we're saying. I've got to say, you trumped me here at right back. I couldn't think of a right back. You've come up with Kyle Walker, who spent 6 months on loan at Aston Villa. He'd be perfect for that right back slot because, a bit like Cash, he can tuck in and make the three. If he needs to come forward, he'd have been able to come forward with his pace. He's just a very good athlete, like Matty Cash as well. I think that's an absolutely great shout from you at right back.
Yeah, no, I think Earl Barrett was the other one I thought of, but he was very much of, he was an excellent physical specimen, I think. I remember his earlier. That's probably when I started watching Villa properly, is when he was playing, and he was a fantastic defender. But I think Kyle Walker. I know we had him when he was young, but I still think he was pretty good for us. And then, pretty sure he sort of cemented himself into the Spurs team the year after, from memory.
He did.
So I think he was. That's when he was, starting to get really into his stride. So I think he could have done a job there. But yeah, I think he's the best. Again, it's a very difficult one for right backs. We never really had lots of different right backs. The likes of Luke Young, Ulises de la Cruz, Lacuna.
Oh, Jesus.
We've had a few shockers as well in there. So it was a difficult one, that one. But I think Kyle Walker's probably best. Like I said, he can tuck in as well and make that back three.
Yeah, he's one of the best right backs that's played in the Premier League as well. I didn't forget he played for Villa, but I just didn't even consider him. Earl Barrett, I felt. Again, we're going back a long way here, but I felt he would be the best equipped to do what Emery wanted because, again, great athlete, could tuck in because he used to play centre-back as well. Obviously won a trophy at Villa. The only other person I had under my consideration was Mark Delaney because, again, I think he was a good athlete. He could play centre-back if needs be. He's a little bit like Matty Cash, although probably not as good a footballer and wouldn't be scoring goals from 30, 35 yards, although I think he did score from 30, 35 yards once for Villa in a game. But yeah, I just think Kyle Walker, I think you've trumped me there. I think that's a great shout.
Yeah, Delaney was, Delaney gave it his all, but he wasn't the most naturally gifted footballer. He was an athlete, and he did play centre-back quite a bit for Villa, I remember, when we had injuries. So he could do a job there, but his second touch was a tackle sometimes, wasn't it? So, I think you need someone a bit better on the ball. And I suppose maybe we underrate Matty Cash a little bit more, don't we, than we should, considering what we've had in the past, because he's...
Yeah, that's true. Villa fans in general.
Right backs we've had. Yeah, I've given him stick plenty of times, but I think compared to what we've had in the past, in terms of an all-round footballer, he does that job pretty well.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, you're going to trump me here as well because there's absolutely no way I can put my pick in over Paul McGrath. The reason I didn't pick Paul McGrath was because when I was young, and this was like obviously when I was growing up watching Villa, I would have seen him play for 3 seasons, I think, as a season ticket holder, Paul McGrath. But when you're young, you don't remember the defenders as much. You only remember the attackers. And I can't remember what he was like on the ball, Paul McGrath, but I think he did play in midfield for a bit as well. So I didn't pick Paul McGrath, which is the sensible pick. I tried to think of Emery ball and how Emery's improved every player that was at the club. And I tried to think, well, actually, Ron Vlaar was a very good defender in a poor Villa team. He played for Holland, obviously, a lot of times, got to the semis of a World Cup, or got to the final of a World Cup with Holland when he was at Villa. He was decent on the ball. A good defender, a little bit like Conser, like he's not Pau Torres on the ball, but he was good on the ball, Ron Vlaar, a bit of a leader there as well. And I thought if he'd have worked under Emery, he'd have probably gone up to another level and been a top class centre back. So that was the reason why I picked Ron Vlaar. But you've picked Paul McGrath. I'm not gonna argue with you. Have you got any memories of him being good on the ball?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, no, I think he was actually pretty decent on the ball. He was so rapid as well, so strong as a defender. But on the ball, he wasn't bad at all. He could ping balls with his right and left foot. He wasn't, probably not as cultured as some players are now these days, but he's still more than able. And my thinking was, you wanted someone next to Staunton who's obviously much better on the ball, that sort of right foot, left foot combo, but also someone who can then sweep up behind, which is sort of what Konza does. Someone who's physically very good, very strong, very quick, and calm under pressure. And, Konza gets compared to McGrath all the time, so I thought, why not McGrath? The other one I thought of was Southgate, but
yeah, I had considered him as well.
It was very good on the ball, but again, I thought we needed someone a bit more physical. Ugo would always be there for me, but he wasn't as good on the ball, so he doesn't get the shout. McGrath, the only thing with McGrath is obviously he played a lot in the back three.
Well, that kind of can be a back three, isn't it? It almost becomes a back three in a way.
True, yeah. So, and I don't know if he played. I'm trying to think now, but I think he played more on the left than the right. But so that's another thing to worry about. But I'm sure he would have been fine there. So I think that back four looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, Larson could have been a consideration as well. Again, if Emery got hold of him, imagine what a frightening defender he could have been. I'm just trying to translate things into the modern era. Again, people might be watching this and think, "Oh, Dan thinks Ron Vlaar's better than Paul McGrath." No, not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to think of how Emery would improve players. And
someone will definitely say that.
Yeah, someone will say it. It'll probably be one of my friends now in the comments. We both plumped for Steve Staunton as the Pau Torres left centre back. What a great footballer Steve Staunton was, particularly in his first spell just before he left to go to Liverpool. Like, wonder of a left foot, distributing from the back. So much of Villa's good work used to start with him at the back in the 90s. A lot of goals, if you always look at them, would have started with Steve Staunton. In fact, the left centre back in general, a lot of Villa's goals used to start with whoever was playing there. Just he was a really good footballer, wasn't he? Considering he was a defender, he could play in midfield as well. He scored loads of great goals from 25, 30 yards. Good free kick taker as well. He was the Pau Torres of his time, really, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolute wonder of left foot. Underrated, really, I think, by a lot of people. Excellent player. And I think he would combine really well with Alan Wright there on the left. So I think he fits in perfectly. He was almost like one of the first names on the team sheet, really, when I thought of. And I think similar to you, sort of left-footed centre back who's good on the ball and is a good defender. I mean, there's not many more than we've had than that.
No, and you mention Alan Wright as well, who almost replaced him at one point as the Villa left back. People might scoff at Alan Wright, and people did used to scoff at Alan Wright, but I still don't think Villa have had a better left back in my time supporting the club. So many assists when that wasn't really anything that was counted. Like, I reckon if you went back and counted in the 95-96 season how many assists Alan Wright got or how many kind of goal contributions he got, I reckon it would be quite high. Like, he was so small, but he used to get up and down, and his delivery again was excellent. And in that kind of left back role where you're the one that has to bomb on and provide the width and provide the crosses, he felt the best fit for me. I couldn't really think of anyone else. I mean, to be fair, Luca Dean is probably the next left back now for me, after Alan Wright, with what he's done for the club.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alan Wright sort of quite similar to Luca Dean, very good defensively, but used to get down that byline. Some of my earlier memories of watching Villa and going to watch Villa play was sort of three centre backs, but then Alan Wright bombing up and down that left side and providing the width and just providing all of our attacking impetus really from there. So he was fantastic. Again, another underrated player agree. Probably our best left back in my time watching Villa, definitely.
Yeah, and we both plumped for Milner and Barry as the sixes. I think Barry being left-footed in that left six position would just be so good, wouldn't it? And he'd almost be the Yuri Tillemans. We don't need to go into what a good footballer Gareth Barry was because everybody knows it. There wasn't really a natural Boubacar Kamara replacement, which I think tells you everything about how good he is. Like, I was going back through the defensive midfielders that Villa had, and they really were just that, destroyers really, but not brilliant on the ball. You could put Tails in there, but his role was more box to box. Boateng wasn't brilliant on the ball, but it was an excellent defensive midfielder. At one point, we think we had Gavin McCann there, again, good defensive midfielder, but not great on the ball. Just going through, thought Andy Townsend maybe, but then I didn't want two left footers, and I felt Barry was better suited for Emery ball. So we've both gone for Milner. Probably not his best position, like as a number 6 at the time he was at Villa. He again, a bit like Tails, was better at going forward. But I think just his skill set, if Emery got a hold of him, he'd have been a brilliant number 6.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a total footballer, wasn't he? And I think he could have adapted to any position, really. He was that kind of player. And probably one of our best midfielders in our era of watching football.
Yeah.
But you're right, he was sort of box to box a lot more. But it's a different kind of football back then under O'Neill as well. The only other names I thought of were Boateng, but again, a bit of a destroyer rather than a footballer, although he wasn't bad on the ball. And then I was thinking more for the Tillemans role was Draper. Again, another underrated player. I think he was fantastic on the ball, really creative. Just a really good footballer. Yeah, it wasn't the smartest guy in the world, but on the football pitch, he was excellent. So that was the other one I thought of. But yeah, I think it's really hard to look past Milner and Barry. To be honest, I don't think there's many better centre midfielders that we've ever had.
Yeah, Barry, honestly, one of my favourite ever players. Arguably Villa's best ever Premier League era player, Gareth Barry. In fact, I personally think he might be Villa's best ever Premier League era player with the amount of games he played for the club as well and how long he was there. The only thing that happened was we were having a discussion afterwards on WhatsApp when we revealed our teams to each other, and suddenly Fabian Delph popped into the conversation, which I'm sure will thrill loads of people listening and watching now. But actually, because he's fairly recent, again, if Emery had got hold of him, imagine what kind of footballer he'd be. Because people forget that he was a really, really good footballer for Villa.
He was, yeah. And there's a reason why he went to Man City when he did. I mean, if you forget about how it happened and things like that, he was excellent for Villa. He came as a young starter under O'Neill. Didn't really work for him in the first couple of years. Went out on loan back to Leeds, didn't he? I think for a bit as well. But then, sort of the latter sort of Lambert years and under Sherwood, he was fantastic. And he was really good under pressure on the ball. Really good at driving, and so I think he would have been quite good in that role as well. Albeit I'd never pick him in there.
Yeah, he'd have been the closest natural fit for that kind of role. I think just in the way he could squeeze out of tight spaces and carry the ball when he needed to as well. That was the reason he popped into my head when we were on WhatsApp. Now, the 3 off the striker, and we've agreed on the striker, as you can see, Dwight York. I've got Grealish as the central 10. You've got him as the left 10 because you've got Paul Merson as your central 10. Now, Merson is one of my favourite ever Villa players. Unbelievable player. Carried Villa, actually, for a couple of years, I thought, with his performances, and just so good. The reason I didn't pick him was in the modern day athleticism. I thought he might struggle with that a little bit and turn into a bit of a luxury player. So I thought I'll play Grealish as the central 10. And then I know Emery did work with Ashley Young, but he worked with a different version. He worked with Ashley Young, the wing-back. I'm talking about Ashley Young under Martin O'Neill for 3 seasons, who got goals and assists galore, set pieces galore. Just thought in that left 10 role, dovetailing with Grealish, I thought, that would be absolutely frightening, Omar.
Yeah, I mean, Ashley Young, I think, is probably one of, if not the best Premier League era player we've had. And that when he was under Martin O'Neill, he was, what did he get? Something like, was it 10, 11 goals and 17, 16 assists?
He got double digits for both a few times, I think.
Yeah. And he was unbelievable at that point. And I was trying to get him in, but my thinking was, on the right would provide us width with Daly, and then Grealish would tuck in and let Wright get forward. But actually, I think you could work the other way. And I think I didn't really think about the physicality of it with Merson. I mean, Merson, we both love Merson, didn't we?
Unbelievable
as a player.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think probably Grealish as the 10 and Young on the left probably be. I'd love to see them two play more than anything at their peak. So
Yeah,
I'd probably trump for that.
Young played as a 10 as well, didn't he? He did play centrally for Villa in his last season quite a lot from what I remember. He could play that position. He was quite creative in terms of his passing as well, Ashley Young. So that I think that would be nice. As much as Paul Merson, I think would in my best ever Villa 11, Paul Merson would be in there. I think what we're trying to do here, I think Ashley Young is a better fit, and then Grealish as the number 10. We all know how good he'd be under Emery, and I wish it was something that we were seeing this season. To be honest, Omar.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it would have been nice, but yeah, I think that's a pretty good balance, isn't it? I think, and things like with Ashley Young, he did play the 10 position as well under O'Neill until the last stages, isn't he, as well? So he could always tuck in and drift across to the right, a bit like what Rodgers does, sort of move across the pitch. So yeah, I think that looks good.
And then you went for the right hand side. Obviously, that's the winger, the Leon Bailey, if you will. Because when I think of Villa's 11 under Emery, I do think of Leon Bailey out there that season when he was absolutely exceptional. I was just trying to replicate that, to be honest. And the best player for that to me felt like Stuart Downing, left-footed winger, staying high and wide. You went more historical than me, and you went for the nicest man in football, Tony Daly, on the right hand side. In my memory, he played more on the left, but I'd say he could play that role as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think now. Yeah, I mean, he did play left, definitely played left, but he definitely could play right as well. He was just so quick. I mean, with Tony Daly, it was a weird one for me. So I watched him. In '93, '94, and obviously in the Coca-Cola Cup final, League Cup final. I remember his shoe coming off and him still running on and carrying on, dribbling the ball. But a lot of my memories come from an old sort of videotape we had, was like a season review, the Pain and Glory of Aston Villa. I don't know if you remember that tape.
No, but it sounds like it could be from any season in life.
Yeah, true. But it was it's on YouTube, you can watch it. But it was Gabrielle Dreams was the theme tune, not theme tune, was the backing music, and it was just like a clip of him, the best bits of Tony Daly. And I used to watch it on repeat all the time when I was little, and I just like loved him. I thought he was amazing. He was so quick, so good on the ball. And frighteningly, I thought that's why I thought on the right he could do a job, because
I think he did play on the right as well. Yeah, I think he did play there. I'm going to give you Tony Daly because of the raw pace as well. I just think that's something that we've missed kind of since Leon Bailey and Diaby, that we don't have that raw pace in the side. So I think he played for England when he was at Villa, didn't he? He came through the academy, like one of the best players to ever come through the Villa youth ranks. So I'm going to give you Tony Daly over Judas Downing.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much.
And then
take that. I mean, look at that forward.
It's a good team. It is a good team, isn't it? That Dwight York up front, Omar leading the line. There's other strikers that we could have picked. Like we both love Benteke. Juan Pablo Angel was a brilliant striker, but for all-round centre forward, Dwight York his style of football would just suit now. Still, he could have led the line on his own, couldn't he? He could have dropped in and been a number 10 if he needed to be. He can get in behind. He was good on the ball. Hold up play was very, very good as well. He was quick. Like Dwight York would just be the perfect striker, and he'd be getting 20, 25 goals a season under Unai Emery, wouldn't he?
Especially with that midfield and back and front three behind him. I think, I mean, Benteke was close, definitely for me, because he, when we had him, he was just unbelievable. Right. And as a lone striker, I think he would have done really well in that team with that support behind him. But I think York is a total footballer. He was just regardless of how he left and things like that, he could sort of drift into the channels. He could drop deep. With Savo, he used to play a bit more of a number 10 role, so he could do it. He could do it all, really. And I think as a Watkins replacement, I think he's the perfect fit for that. And he could be the fox in the box as well when he needed to be. And he was a goal scorer. So yeah, definitely, I think it's hard to argue against him.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that team. So we've got David James in goal, Kyle Walker being Matty Cash at right back, Paul McGrath and Staunton being Concert and Pau Torres, Alan Wright, the Luca Dean of his time, Milner and Barry being Kamara and Tillemans, Tony Daly providing the width on the right-hand side, with Ashley Young kind of tucking in and being the Morgan Rogers, I guess, or Jacob Ramsey playing as a left 10. Jack Grealish as the central 10, as we said, we'd love to have seen that this season for Aston Villa, and Dwight York being the Ollie Watkins as well. Scored so many goals for Villa, did Dwight York, and was there for so long as well. So Omar, I'm pretty happy with that 11 and how that's turned out. That would be a team, I think, that would be well suited to playing under Unai Emery.
Yeah, I mean, that's a team under Unai Emery that could go far in the league, could go far in the cups. I kind of wish we could make that happen. To be honest, that's got pace, it's got power, it's got good footballing ability, it's got excellent defence. I mean, what more could you want?
Yeah, we'll just let the people watch on YouTube have one more look at it, because it's got a nice little balance to it. That I think we've done that task pretty well, I will say, Omar. So
little pat on the back.
So thank you for joining me today to talk about it.
That's all right, mate. Yeah, no, happy to. As you know, I love going. We've watched the same kind of football in terms of era, so that was quite a good one to do.